Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, JoAnn Crone. Hello to all my Lolas out there. This past weekend, someone very close to me looked me in the eye and blamed me for something that was not my fault. And for the first time in my life, I did not do what I have always done. I did not shrink. I did not apologize for something I didn't do. I told them the truth, even though it did make me cry. I had to take a little break. It was intense. And I was really scared that I would exacerbate the situation. I was scared about what would happen next. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, what the research says about my old way of handling that would have made everything worse, and how you can do the same thing in your own life. So this one is for every people pleaser listening, because I am one too. By the way, if you are a people pleaser and you want a different way of reacting, I'm hosting a live workshop next week, Happy Mom Reset. It is completely free. Wednesday, August 26th. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Come sign up right in the show notes right down there. And let's get on with the show. I, like so many of you, I'm a people pleaser. I have the hardest time telling people how I feel when that feeling is negative. I don't know where this comes from. Like whenever I'm angry with somebody and when I'm not okay with something they did, there are two things that stop me from telling them about it. The first one, it's a thought that goes through my head thinking that I'm making just too big of a deal out of things. This isn't a big deal. I shouldn't be upset. I should be calm. Do you ever think that way too? And number two, I'm afraid of the retaliation. I think that if I tell them what I'm angry about, that they're going to tell me that I made them angry as well. They're going to come back at me with something like, well, you're not perfect either. And you did this, this, and this. So who are you to talk about it? And even though I know I'm not perfect and I totally accept that, it stops me because I am so afraid of that pushback. Now, what's interesting is that roughly 40% of women describe this chronic approval-seeking behavior, and it significantly interferes with their professional and relational lives. So if you're nodding along right now, you're in good company. Let's get into a little why this happens. So this pattern has a name in trauma psychology. It's called the fawn response. Have you heard about this? It is the fourth survival response. It's alongside fight, flight, and freeze. Fawn is a pattern where your nervous system decides faster than like conscious thought. You do this automatically, that the safest thing for you to do in the moment is to make the other person happy, even if it costs you in your own needs or feelings. And it often starts because at some point in your life, staying quiet felt like the only safe option. Now, you might hear that word trauma and you might think, but JoAnn, like I really haven't had any big trauma in my life. So I want to bring in this concept of big T trauma and little t trauma. Big T trauma is what we typically think of as like a traumatic event, a death, an accident, a pandemic, some kind of world-changing view. A little t trauma is something more like rejection, or maybe your emotional needs weren't taken care of. So even if you can't identify with that word trauma, know that there are these two separate types of traumas that impact you. Now, I have done a previous podcast episode about what my former friendships have taught me, and I'll link to that episode down there in the show notes. But in that episode, I was looking back at these really close female friendships that I had that all ended spectacularly awful, and trying to make sense of it. Because if I have this pattern where a friendship ends, there has to be something I'm doing, right? There has to be something with me. And it cannot just be these people. And at the time, I pointed to what I thought was this common thread, that these were people without a lot of self-awareness about their impact. I want to take that back. I realized at the time that I probably had some lingering anger about a situation. And as I told you, I'm not perfect. And the longer I go through life, the more I learn and the more I realize. The other common thread that probably even had more impact on the situation is that I did not say what I did not like not once, not clearly. I saw on a t-shirt the other day, clarity is kindness. And that is something that I did not bring to relationships. I would stuff things down. I would think that I was making too big a deal out of things. And so I would never tell someone when I was angry. I would never tell someone that what they were doing annoyed me. I used to think that staying quiet was, just something you did in relationships. Like you didn't make a big deal out of other people's foibles. It was actually withholding the one thing that could have helped these relationships survive. And how is someone supposed to develop self-awareness about their impact on you if you never give them the information? Silence does not protect a relationship. It starves it of the one thing that could help it grow. And that is what I want you to take away from this episode. It is better for you to speak up than keep swallowing everything that bothers you. Now, we do this a lot with the older generation as well. In fact, I'm thinking of one of my inner circle members right now in a check-in who described a close family member started living with her. And this close family member is very judgmental, but she swallows it. She keeps going, thinking that she can't do anything about it. But I want to tell you right now, you can. You can by sharing what matters to you. And I want to give you a little steps on how to do that. So back to the story. Now, I'm going to be intentionally vague with this because I do not want to call this other person out whatsoever. Okay. This podcast is an episode about reflections of what I could do better to help you in your life. I can be very vulnerable with you because I want you to be able to see yourself and see your actions and what I do. Other people, they don't have that choice to be vulnerable on this podcast. So I'm not going to call them out. I went on a trip with someone close to me, and another person in our group wanted to go somewhere. It was a child. And we weren't able to do it. We had plans to do it, but we weren't able to do it. And it wasn't anyone's fault. It wasn't. It was just how the day worked out. That day had been really hot. It had taken a lot out of us. There was a lot of stress. Someone was feeling really sick. That's the reason we didn't get to things. It just happened. Now, when we figured out that, we're not going to be able to hit this location that this one person wants, that person close to me turned around and blamed me. And they said something like, you put what you wanted to do first. There was this underlying message that I was selfish, that I wasn't thinking about them, that I was too focused on me. And that's not what happened at all. And I knew that. I knew that when they were telling me these things. And so I was able to ground myself in the moment. And I want to tell you this with a little bit of precaution because this is something that I wasn't able to do for a really, really long time. This is something I'm practicing with. This is something that I talk about in therapy. This is something that I work on in coaching, that I help other women work on. So if you're not able to do this, no shame. This is probably the first time I was able to do it ever in the moment. So what I said in the moment was, I hear you. I hear that you're upset. This is really disappointing, but what you're accusing me of, this is unfair. This is not my fault. We are both adults that had access to the same information. This is not on me. And it's not like this person stopped blaming me after I said that. They kept going. They kept picking out little things extra that I did that kind of proved their case, how I was selfish and I was somehow at fault. You know what I wish existed when my kids were little? Great Wolf Lodge. An indoor water park inside your hotel where it's always 84 degrees, especially living in Phoenix where the sidewalks burn your toes. That would have been amazing. At Great Wolf Lodge, the whole family gets to splash around in a massive indoor water park with a wave pool, a lazy river, and water slides that you can all ride together. But here's what's really cool about it. They also have Magi Quest, which is a live action adventure game kids play throughout the entire lodge. It's like the magic never stops and your kids are always occupied. Between the Northern Lights Arcade, the great dining options, and the complimentary dance parties nightly, there's genuinely something for everyone all under one roof. No packing up and driving somewhere every hour. No, I'm bored. Just connection, fun, and honestly, a little magic for you too. With 22 lodges across the country, there's probably one close to you. Check it out at greatwolf.com and bring your pack together. Hey, I wanted to share a new children's album with you. You have to check out Magnificent by Lotchie. In case you're not in the know, Lotchie is a Grammy-nominated musician and author whose work focuses on inclusion and helping kids feel confident in who they are. It's one of those albums that feels as good for parents as it does for little ones. Magnificent is full of playful, feel-good songs that celebrate self-expression, imagination, and those everyday moments you'll recognize as a parent. It's the kind of music you can put on during the morning routine, in the car, or when your child needs a bit of calm. There's a really gentle message running through the album around confidence and emotional well-being without ever feeling heavy or lesson-led. Just catchy, thoughtful songs that kids can connect with and that you won't mind hearing on repeat. Magnificent is streaming now on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen. If you want to check it out, just hit the link in this episode's description and it'll take you straight there. Growing up, nobody in my house ever talked about money. I'd go to the bank with my dad, but when it came to my own spending, I never had a number, no budget, like no boundaries of any kind, just guessing. And honestly, money has scared me ever since, and it still makes me a little bit anxious sometimes. That's exactly why I started using Monarch. For the first time, I could actually see everything in one place. And I found out almost 15% of our income quietly going to stuff like I couldn't even name, nor could I remember what was purchased. Now I know where every dollar goes, and that anxious feeling has finally started to ease up. My favorite part is the AI weekly recap. It's like having a little financial advisor in your pocket, minus the judgment for my last Target run. Write your own money story with Monarch. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com to get your first year of Monarch Core half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code NOGUILT. But I held the line. I told them, you're attacking me right now. You're attacking me. And then I put in the final thing a little bit later in our conversation. Like this conflict lasted for about 3 hours back and forth. We had separations. We were texting also. But I told them straight out, and you're acting like an asshole. Like something that I would never say before. And what I didn't do is I didn't chase it past the point where it would do real damage. There was one point in this conversation where this person attacked me and it hit like my core. It really, really did. It twisted something inside me that I knew was probably some kind of inferiority I felt on my part, some kind of self-conscious thing that I felt like I did. Like I am always very, very sensitive about using the resources I have to help other people. I want to do that. But when somebody accuses me of not being able to do the same thing, like somehow I am in this privileged place, which I am, and I admit that. But it wasn't true in this case that I wasn't sharing the wealth, but it hit me hard, and I had to step away because I broke down crying. And I'm glad I took a break. I'm glad I stepped away because typically in past conflicts with this individual, I had yelled back and attacked when that point was hit. But I didn't attack. So what happened after all of that? After a few hours where I still showed up for this person, but I did hold the line that, what you're doing, you're attacking me and this isn't fair. This person came back later and apologized. And that was the biggest thing I've ever experienced. Like, I almost cry when I think about it now because I felt so seen and I felt so recognized, because usually in my conflicts, the other person doesn't take responsibility. They don't. Not specifically. And this person clearly explained, okay, I did this and I did this and I am sorry. It broke me down in like the best way possible. Let's talk about what we could do and how we can use this in our real lives. And I want to put like a little like check mark here, because when I stepped away to cool down, that wasn't the same thing as suppression, because there is this nuance here. Suppression is really holding down all of your true feelings, and stepping away to cool down is being able just to get that logical part of your brain back online so that you can share what your true feelings are, instead of those words that may be influenced a little bit too much by anger. Research on emotional suppression shows the damage comes from rigid, constant swallowing of how you feel, not from pausing so you can say the true thing well instead of the messy thing fast. And I brought this instance to my therapy session. Guys, I highly recommend therapy. If you do not have a therapist, please find a therapist. They really help you dig down and validate what you feel so that you stop emotionally suppressing stuff. And my therapist told me, good for you for stating how you felt. This is really the first time you've ever done that. And she also pointed out, you made this person feel safe too. You showed them, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not deserting you, but you cannot treat me like this, which is such an important distinction, because setting a boundary and staying in the relationship are not opposites. When you set a boundary, you're not saying, you know what, I refuse to be around you anymore unless you do what I say. Boundary is what makes it safe to stay. And I have to tell you, like in those friendships I had before, I did the opposite. I set the boundary and then I'm like, I'm out, peace. Like, you're not coming back to me, I'm out. Now, looking at some of them, it was a repeated pattern of behavior that I just couldn't take anymore from my own mental health. So I did step away, and it is what it is now. There's one relationship where I think it would all be better if someone just came to me and admitted their contribution. And I'm not saying they're totally wrong, just to admit the contribution, because there comes to a point where you're so tired of taking on all the responsibility. You just want someone specifically to say, hey, I see what happened. I see what I did. Here it is. And yeah, admit it. But I made the person feel safe in this one. So I was really happy. And this is something that I want to tell you as well. If you can make people feel safe, they are more likely to say those things. They're more likely to admit to behavior. Making someone feel safe is a really hard thing when you're mad. When you're mad, you kind of want to blow up the world. You want people to see you. You want people to recognize you. That it's really, really hard to create that safety. So if you haven't been able to do that, I am with you there. Like, I am with you. It is so, so hard. So let's talk a little bit more about this emotional suppression, because if you're a people pleaser like me, I bet you do it. I bet you do it. So we're going to bring in some research. Okay. But research is so fun and so cool and so interesting. So stay with me here. I'm not going to go like data nerd on you. We're going to make this really applicable to your life. First, a study on couples, okay, making daily sacrifices for each other found that suppressing emotions and not sharing how you felt predicted lower emotional well-being, worse relationship quality, and more conflict over time, not less. It also increased how often partners thought about breaking up. Staying quiet does not prevent the blow up. It doesn't. It just delays the blow up and makes the blow up ultimately bigger. Now, why does this backfire? The thing here is authenticity. Because when you suppress how you feel, you start to feel inauthentic in the relationship, like you're holding back or you're not fully showing up. And that sense of disconnection is what actually erodes closeness, not the disagreement itself. I could say in some of my like previous friendships, there is a point where I did emotionally shut down. I emotionally shut down because there was a lot of emotional reaction on the other side. And it's almost like I put a wall in between me and the other person to feel safe. And to feel like I had control. So it was a part where I did start to feel inauthentic. And the physical cost on your body, habitual emotional suppression, has been linked to a higher risk of, okay, brace yourself here, of early death, especially from cancer in longitudinal research. This is not a small stakes issue. Your body keeps the score, like the book, even when your mouth doesn't. You feel it in your body. If you've ever gone through this period of intense stress, and you may also have a situation in your life where somebody's upsetting you, but you're trying to act nice. Those two things are related, Lola. There are two related things. One does not exclude the other. One is causing the other. In a landmark study on committed relationships, 57% of people named open, honest self-disclosure as the number one factor that kept the relationship together. Telling the truth isn't the risk. It is the maintenance. It is how it goes. And research on assertive communication. And when we talk about assertive communication, by the way, I think there's a big distinction here that I need to call out. Assertive communication is telling somebody, hey, this is how I feel, right? Aggressive communication is like, you are awful. This is all your fault. You don't respect me. You think I'm worthless. That's kind of aggressive. Assertive is just saying what you want. Research on assertive communication links it to both higher self-esteem and higher relationship satisfaction. The more clearly you can say what's true for you, the more solid your sense of self gets, and the two build on each other. So I want to let you know this is not about announcing every single feeling the second it happens. The research shows it's rigid, constant, pushing it down that predicts the damage. Holding back sometimes on purpose and with intention is not the same thing, and it isn't linked to the same cost. Growing up, nobody in my house ever talked about money. I'd go to the bank with my dad, but when it came to my own spending, I never had a number, no budget, like no boundaries of any kind, just guessing. And honestly, money has scared me ever since, and it still makes me a little bit anxious sometimes. That's exactly why I started using Monarch. For the first time, I could actually see everything in one place. And I found out almost 15% of our income quietly going to stuff like I couldn't even name, nor could I remember what was purchased. Now I know where every dollar goes, and that anxious feeling has finally started to ease up. My favorite part is the AI weekly recap. It's like having a little financial advisor in your pocket, minus the judgment for my last Target run. Write your own money story with Monarch. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com to get your first year of Monarch Core half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code NOGUILT. A new school year means new opportunities for positive change, big or small. My son is starting 8th grade, and I could not be more excited for him. He's finally the older kid at junior high, not a Sevi anymore. And he's trying something totally new this year, art class. I have no idea what he's going to think about it. And honestly, that's my favorite part of a new year, watching him figure out who he is. If you're looking for a new path to help your child succeed, there's still time to enroll in K-12 powered online schools. K-12 offers tuition-free accredited online public education for kids in kindergarten through 12th grade, built around your child's own pace with dedicated teachers giving real-time support. It's not too late to enroll for this fall. See how K-12 powered schools can help your child thrive this year and beyond. Enroll online today at k12.com/ngm. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/ngm. k12.com/ngm. You know what I wish existed when my kids were little? Great Wolf Lodge. An indoor water park inside your hotel where it's always 84 degrees, especially living in Phoenix where the sidewalks burn your toes. That would have been amazing. At Great Wolf Lodge, the whole family gets to splash around in a massive indoor water park with a wave pool, a lazy river, and water slides that you can all ride together. But here's what's really cool about it. They also have Magi Quest, which is a live action adventure game kids play throughout the entire lodge. It's like the magic never stops and your kids are always occupied. Between the Northern Lights Arcade, the great dining options, and the complimentary dance parties nightly, there's genuinely something for everyone all under one roof. No packing up and driving somewhere every hour. No, I'm bored. Just connection, fun, and honestly, a little magic for you too. With 22 lodges across the country, there's probably one close to you. Check it out at greatwolf.com and bring your pack together. This is about not making silence your only setting. So, for example, if someone says something like that little bit annoys you, like maybe it's a phrase that annoys you, maybe thinking about something that my daughter's telling me, maybe it's an emoji that annoys you. If it's once, like, that's fine. Let it go. It's okay. If it happens repeatedly and this person is doing it over and over again, that's something to share. That is something to be like, hey, when you use this emoji, it pisses me off. Maybe it irrationally pisses me off. I don't know why, but this is the reaction that it has in me. And what you just did there is you gave the other person information. What they do with that information depends where it goes next. So at the beginning of the show, we talked about the fawn response. And if you are a longtime listener to No Guilt Mom, you know we call the inner voice that tells us what to do, that is constantly critical of everything, we call it Bob. And Bob is the one who's telling you to suck it up. Bob is the one saying it's easier just to let it go. Bob is the one warning you that if you say something, you will get everyone mad needlessly, and this person will never like you again, and you will lose the relationship. Okay? That is Bob. Bob is not protecting your relationships, by the way, when he tells you to stay quiet. He is slowly costing you the closeness that he thinks he's protecting. Because remember, Bob's only job is to keep you safe, and he keeps you safe by doing the predictable, by doing your normal state of affairs. So whenever you try to make a change, Bob is going to fight you on it. But trust me on this one, Bob needs to lose on this one. He does not have your best interest at heart. He doesn't know what your best interest is. He's just afraid. He's an afraid little Bob. Just gently pat him on the head, turn away and be like, I'm going to try it this way, Bob. Let's see how this works for me. So I want to give you something that you can actually use today for telling somebody that something bothers you. This is such a great thing to have as a parent, as a mom, because your kids are watching you. And if you're able to tell other people what bothers you in a very respectful, assertive way, kids see that. And kids are more likely to adopt the behavior they see versus the behavior that you tell them about. So here's what to do. Number one, first name the feeling without attacking them. Something like, I hear you. I hear that you're upset. But, and then you're going to state your boundary plainly. This is not fair, and this is not my fault. After that, if it escalates, you're allowed to name that and you're allowed to step away. So I need to take a break from this conversation. I'll come back when I can talk about this calmly. And you don't need to get this perfect, by the way. I cried. I still said the thing. I said it imperfectly. I said it out loud, and imperfect and loud beats perfect every single time. Don't hold these feelings in. It is not good for you. It is not good for your relationships. And if you take one thing from this episode, take this. Silence doesn't protect your relationships. It starves them of the one thing that could actually help them grow. Telling the truth. Even when your voice shakes, it is what makes it safe for people to actually know you. And if this episode hit home and you want some more tools for moments like this, come and take my live workshop. It's the Happy Mom Reset. It happens Wednesday, August 26th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I have the link for you down there in the show notes. It's going to help you figure out where your guilt and your people pleasing are running the show in your home and what you can do instead. So until next time, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and I'll talk with you later.